on the agenda, budget. Hopefully we can get to a point tonight where we'll give all the advice we need to get to Dawn so that the things that come to us next Monday don't have to be altered too much at all.
Yep.
Because they're complex motions. So, Dawn, I think you found 490,000 out here.
Oh, good.
So this presentation bears remarkable similarity to last week's presentation. There's a few additions and a little bit more information, so we'll go through it fairly quickly, just in the interest of completeness. So, oh great, let's start.
I didn't turn it on. Okay.
Helps. So this is from last week's presentation. When we started back the end of March, we were at $1.1 million short almost. At that time, Council provided some direction. The special reserve repayments are not to be made next year, 15% sewer rate increase, and a number of other smaller changes that brought us to $572,909 short, which is what's in the budget binder. So since that time, a number of changes that we went through last week, a few little changes to the provincial amounts, a small change to the wastewater treatment plant expenses. We deleted the FCM convention because no one is going this year. Decreased the grants to organization budget, decreased the wind turbine study because we have more participants. We did receive an age-friendly grant in planning, but it's revenue and expense, so there's no net impact. Moved the garden party to the museum budget, again, no net impact because we fund the museum shortfall. We added to the budget maintenance of the downtown Wi-Fi, and there were some insurance adjustments, a good news adjustment, $7,200, but it impacts various departments, some positively, some quite negatively, but overall it's reduced our budget by $7,200. Decrease to the crossing guard budget, there had been an error in that calculation. Decrease to the maintenance for town hall parking lot, that number was looked at again. Decrease in the parking administration. Recreation made a number of changes to reduce their budget in rec admin, in parks, and in the pool. Council agreed last time to use the cemetery reserve to fund the pond studies, so that helps. There were a few Kinsman Field improvements that were added in. Just today, hot off the presses, Visitor Information Center reduction in the budget of $1,500. And an increase, we looked at the contingency and an increase of $20,000 to the contingency. So as of this moment, we're short $510,350. So just a couple of reminders that, because I've told you this way back, so just reminding you that there is no funding for the sick time actuarial liability for non-union and QP. There's no funding for the transit study. For transit, we're looking to do a study this year and hoping to have it funded by NS TRIP. No funding for events Lunenburg County. Nothing for the municipal governance review, and nothing. The LCLC board had suggested we put $25,000 in reserves for the LCLC. We have not done that to this point, and there's no parking meter revenue or expense in here. So that's assuming the parking won't come back in. Obviously, if council decides to put the parking back in place, we will have those revenues and expenses. Just a few outstanding matters. One is the Girl Guide cabin, and I think maybe I'll stop here and Ken let you update on the Girl Guide cabin.
Yeah, I think we discussed that at a previous meeting, and basically there's about $1,100 of expenses that have to be done to the cabin, and another approximately $8,000 should be done. In other words, there are maintenance items that should be done, but it's not in our case I have to. And I don't recall, what do we have in the budget now? Do we have?
We had 12,350. It hasn't changed, but
Okay.
I guess we're suggesting that it could be reduced, the Girl Guide cabin budget.
Could be reduced.
And we circulated the,
What,
Is there any
let's
opinion,
focus on them.
any opinion on ownership of that?
There was a legal opinion circulated to council members this afternoon.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Legal opinion received by staff, but not yet circulated.
oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's coming. It's not straightforward, though.
We don't own it.
right now, there's $12,000 in the budget. Is there a desire to reduce that to 1,100?
Oh,
I'd rather see the legal opinion first.
Okay.
so,
I think the legal opinion, basically, we're stuck as the custodial of that facility for a period of time. Now, it's a case of meeting with the Girl Guide to see whether or not they cost share. We rent the space to them, but we're not in a position to sell it tomorrow.
Yeah, any sale would not be straightforward. So I think, for purposes of the budget, you're saying that we can reduce the budget from the 12,000 down to a minimal amount, and are wondering if council wants us to do that.
But if you,
Assuming yes.
if you only put the 1,100 in, can the Girl Guides use the building, and can Parks and Rec use the building moving forward?
Yes, they can. It'd be 1,100 plus, I think, about another 700 for cleaning and maintenance during the summer. The Girl Guides will look after the rest of the year, but I think the estimate was about $2,000 in total. The other repairs, roughly 8, could be held off.
Is there a difference to us financially whether or not we were to give a grant to the Girl Guides of, say, $2,000 versus doing repairs of $2,000? There's no financial difference or benefit or nothing. Okay, thanks.
So, sorry, we
Oh,
didn't answer the
where we are.
question, did we?
well, we're $1,100.
$2,000 is what I'm hearing.
So,
I thought it was 1,100.
Yeah, but you had another 800 in.
So-
So is there interest in changing the 12,000 to 2,000?
I'm good with 2.
I'm good with
Yeah.
2, if it doesn't,
I think we should have a discussion with the Girl Guides, because I think they may be interested in and or pursuing requesting money to maintain that building.
We haven't decided we're going to keep the building.
Well, sounds like we, anyway, but
and this is just,
I've
for-
seen the-
might be good to have a conversation with the Girl Guides in the short term.
We have to do, between ourselves and Girl Guides, keep that building functional for a period of time.
Right.
Now, as far as selling it, it's not going to be sold in the next year without working through. So we don't have the option of not putting any money into it and just simply selling it.
and this is for budget purposes too,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's
Whatever
not
works
to
out,
say
yeah.
if we can work something else out.
2,000 for budget purposes. Only 2,000 for budget purposes.
But the Girl Guides can operate out of that building safely come September.
Yeah, the 2,000 allows us for them to operate through the year, for us to do the summer programming this summer. But as far as the maintenance, we essentially are only doing a couple of jobs that really have to be done. There's no choice. And the rest, the major portion of the maintenance will defer.
Just so we're clear, because I'm not making that commitment. What I'm making commitment is $2,000 as operational repairs that have to be spent now. But then I want to see the legal opinion to determine how much I want to push for putting it on the market the next day.
But not looking
Some
at holding the,
indications are that we can't, but please, till I read the legal opinion, I'm reserving judgment there.
But not holding the budget
No,
for it.
no.
And there's no insurance implications here? That's covered under our insurance policy?
I'm quite certain it's covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the BDA budget, there was some discussion about whether we might be able to reduce that number. I don't know if there's an update or.
Andrews, and we talked about it. When I look at the BDA budget, I don't see any expenses for bid, and that's what I'm trying to find out. Am I missing something? Or overlooking something? Oh, never mind. There it is.
Wasn't there a question of what additional staff person or lack of a staff person?
The proposed budget for 16-17 is $2,925. So I'm not sure if that's a staff person or some expenses with the, there was 13,000 in the approved budget for 15-16, of which to the end of January, the actual was 7,200. And the proposed budget for 16-17 is 2,900.
So just for clarity for others, it's not in, the detail you have is
Yeah,
not in
no,
the budget
just
binder. It
we
came as
thought
a
it might
numbered
be to
document.
Reduce the grant.
So is there anything further with that, or are we good with the number we have?
I'm not
It's
willing.
just status quo.
That's
Okay.
called for.
So a decision on how to balance is required pretty much this evening if the budget's going to be approved next week. It's a really complicated motion, and if we start moving stuff around at the last minute, it's apt to end up wrong. So this is just tax rate history for your information. You can see it in 2009-10 it was 1.628. It moved for 2 years to 1.669, then down to 1.65 where it stayed, and is still reflected at that in this budget. So these are the same slides from the other night where we're showing, you know, what changes were made to the capital budget. So this is year one. And I'm not going to run through every one. It's the same as last week. I did make a note at the bottom there that additional information Larry provided regarding the town hall security, the sweeper truck, and the fourth floor renos that were requested last week. So that went out this week. And this is just the same slide showing the impact on 17-18 when we moved a lot of stuff from 16-17. And year 3, and 4, and 5. So those are just identical to last week's slides, but certainly if there are any questions. And I did want to point out that Grinder Square Skate Park is still sitting in the future until the project budget and funding is finalized. So if you're looking for it.
But we've already committed money.
We've committed 208,500, because the 8,500 goes way back a number of years. That was put in reserve a number of
I
years.
just want to be clear, Rich, that if all of a sudden Grinder Square came tomorrow and said, we're ready to go, we're not saying, well, where do we find our
Right.
portion? We've got
Right.
that.
So this is a very small slide, but it basically shows the funding impacts. And the main thing I was trying to highlight here is the debt financing, and I've tried to bold it there so you can see. At this point, with $962,000 in capital from operating, we would have to borrow almost $2 million, then to 2.761 next year, because we've moved a lot of things from 16-17 into 17-18. Then 1.421, 1.4, 1.2 is the debt. And this is something that was circulated this week. It's very busy, I know, but it's the debt history. So you can see in March 31st, 2007, and it was at almost $6 million, down to 5.2, then up to 7.35, up to 8.3, and then it's been declining steadily since March 31st, 2010.
And what
And-
will it be this year with everything?
It's 3.382300 as of March 31st, 16.
Right.
But we've also approved a temporary borrowing resolution from last year. So you'll notice that that gets included kind of in the next year because it all lags a year. So when you fund, when we do the 16-17 capital budget, that won't get financed till the fall of 2017 because we can't do debenture financing until a project is complete. So it all kind of lags a year. So you can see it would go up to 3.8 and continue to go up based on this budget to ending at
Deputy Mayor
7.5.
McGinnis.
Just one question on the skateboard park or all-wheels park. Is there a time limit on that? Like if that's not built within 5 years? I'm sorry, I just wanted to know.
You got to pick up.
Oh, I'm sorry. With respect to the all-wheels park, is there a time limit on that commitment of $200,000? Like if it's not built within 10 years?
There's not currently, but council could impose one. Like it's in the town of Bridgewater capital reserve funds.
Okay, so we can take that if we want, if it's not being built.
If
Okay.
you decided, you could take it back.
So, Don, we're basically then looking for 510.
Yeah. So again, tonight, we're looking to finalize the 5-year capital and funding. And there was discussion also, I did earlier this week provide the 5-year capital updated, just so that if council wanted to have a discussion on year 2, so that it perhaps next year will be closer to what comes to council, that would be.
Deputy Mayor McGinnis.
Yeah, year 2 has some, and I'm trying to get to it. Year 2 has some things in it that, or next year I should say, that probably we would not be doing unless we got some assistance from other levels of government, i.e. the $760,000 for High Street, I think. If my memory serves me right, I'm just looking for it now.
710.
$710,000.
So there's not currently any funding, external funding contemplated in that budget, but if we received one, it would reduce the amount we'd have to borrow.
What's included in that budget, though?
The
That
funding
number you
is
gave us.
not.
No, the
The
funding
project
not.
is.
Right.
So any funding received would reduce that.
Or
It
we
would-
wouldn't do,
would-
or maybe we'd do the project.
Right. That would be up to council.
Okay.
When you say that there's no government funding, gas tax is factored in. It's
Yes,
just not
yes,
additional
it's
like the
not,
Bill Canada fund.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we have the commitment of the gas tax.
Now, that, if I may, Your Worship, that 1.9 million and change that we're looking at borrowing this year, that's as if, that's covering the shortfall of $510,000?
No.
Oh,
You would have to, because right now we've got capital from operating sitting at 962. So if we're going to reduce, if council is going to reduce that to balance the operating budget, the debt would go up.
The balance, that way you're basically reducing capital to revenue to about 400,000 and change.
And that would, the debt would go up to offset that.
Yeah.
yes, but also, if my well, it does serve me right, we're putting about 1.2 million
That's right.
on our debt this year.
That's right.
So in essence, okay. So the net debt after that payment will go up at 1.3 million. 2.5. We're looking at 2.5 for that
Oh, right,
shortfall.
okay.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
take the 1.2
1.2,
off.
yeah,
These
1.3.
1.3 that we'd be looking at.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that, but I can support that.
I could too.
But in 2022, debt's going to be about $7.5 million.
And
Based on
that would
current.
add another 500,000. If we add 500,000 to debt tonight, it would be 500,000.
And that's
a
all
lot of
based
money.
on.
But
Based on
that's
a
all
number of
based on
assumptions.
those,
All that capital work with no
Yes.
government assistance.
Right.
Yeah.
And we know
so
that's not going to happen.
capital budgets could be reduced, we could receive other types of funding that would reduce that debt.
So realistically, what would it be in 22? Do you figure? 4?
I really can't say because council would have to decide.
Yeah, but you kind of know what you get for grants.
No, because they're all over the board, depending on the nature of the project too. Like $5 million King Street project, we would have shown a number of years ago, it's a $5 million project, and then you start working on your grants and reducing it down. It depends on the funds, different programs that are available, how high they'll go.
And what their
sometimes
criteria are and so on.
It would be so nice, frankly, if we could do exactly as you said, get some certainty about where you're
But
going.
what we've heard.
The only certainty is gas tax.
Yes, yeah.
But if we really look at the budget in 17, 18, there may be some stuff there we can shift to 19 and 20.
That's true. Yep.
And we really should look at that plan so that the next 3 or 4 years, the capital program's pretty near where we want it. There'd be no surprises unless some emergency comes up.
Well,
Things
and
would just work their way in.
yes, yeah. But that's not to say that council won't want to move some
Oh,
things.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor.
Just to respond to Councillor Graves' question, that in 2022 is worst case scenario.
Yeah, I know.
And I know when I joined council, if my memory serves me right, the town's debt was north of $9 million. That was back in 2000. Not that I want to go there, and I never want to go there again.
But it was certainly just a few years ago.
2010, it was up to 8.3.
Yeah.
So we've been working on it downward.
So,
Just get the impression we're kicking the can, just further down the road, right?
yeah.
Most of the departments' budgets are pretty. There isn't being many increases at all. They've really tightened things up. So there's no real place, as far as I'm concerned, to really cut. There's a lot of good stuff that has to be done. I don't think that we're, as a town, living high off the hog, right?
Further to your comments, I think that debt is, that's not it, that debt is unrealistic because we know a lot of that debt we're not going to incur unless we get government assistance. If we get government assistance, it's reducing that. If we don't get government assistance, we're not incurring anything. It's just,
And hopefully,
I can get really up to say we're going to get half of it. That's based on absolutely no knowledge. Which would be dangerous.
And just to remind you that, this year we're doing a $4.1 million project downtown. We don't do those every year, thank goodness. But that's an important project to our town. I'm good to go.
I'm good to go with the same thing.
so balance with capital from operating.
Balance
Yep.
capital from operating, which
I don't
increases
think we have any
our
choice. There's nothing left to cut.
That's two of us.
Yeah.
So-
Council Program.
That was my intention last month.
Council Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, we're gambling a bit on growth, and I think it's educated gambling, but I think we need to.
Council Graves.
Can I just ask
Yeah.
a question? So if you were to raise the taxes, what do you get for, what are the numbers? Is one,
60.
So,
66.
1 cent on residential is about 48,000. 1 cent on commercial is about 17,000.
How much?
17,000. So if you raise both rates 1 cent, 65,000. 1% is about 80,000 on residential, 68 on commercial, so 147.
Sorry, what was the 1% again?
147.
147 if you raised it on both residential and commercial.
Thank you.
80 for just residential.
What do you think, Sam?
I'm thinking we should go with quarterly. I mean, what is the rate anyway?
It's the lowest it's been in, you can never predict what the rates, but the rates are excellent at this point that we're talking about borrowing that won't happen until the fall of 2017, so, right now, it's certainly good. The only thing about it is that it will come back next year, because we are trying to get the capital from operating up.
Yeah. Jennifer?
I'm good with it. Like Councillor Tanner said, we're making an investment that we expect a return on our investment out of. It's a gamble, but it's one we need to take.
Mike?
I still feel that we're just kicking the can down the road, just kicking it,
And as I said,
Yeah.
this discussion will be back next year as we try
Yeah, I
and
know.
raise capital from operating.
and then the
again.
year after.
But, if there was some of the growth that we're hoping for.
So then the document that comes to council, the motions that come to council on Monday night, will be a balanced budget accomplished, at least tonight, by moving $510,000 from capital out of revenue
Yeah,
to borrow.
right.
Yeah. And everybody will have a chance to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in the budget process. Sandra?
I'm just wondering, can we put that in the bridge so that people actually know, what's really happening? Because, I think they think that our debt is really huge. And really, it's not when you're looking at a town this size. I've heard
Yeah.
people say things and it's like way out of line.
When's the next edition of the bridge? June?
It's in production, kind
It's
of.
in production.
Oh, okay.
What to
I'm just
squeeze it
thinking,
in?
though,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because, really, when you sent that out, I know what Bill had been saying about, we're at 5 million and everything, but when you see it and you're at 3, you go, well, that's not so bad.
So you're thinking just that you would show some of the history, or
Yeah,
as
I think they
opposed
need
to the
see history
projections?
Because
Yeah.
way back in 2009, it was 7 million. And look how far we've come and look what we've done in almost 10 years.
Yeah. No, this doesn't include the LCLC debt,
No.
but we have a specified funding source for that.
Yeah, that's the special purpose.
Right.
Yeah, when your debt goes up significantly, I'm going to say that that 9-10 water treatment plant or wastewater, there's usually, when you hit the big spike, it's usually because we've embarked on a project.
I want to
that's
say Glen Allen is in there somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Well,
Yes.
that's right, too,
That's
yes,
right,
that
too.
is in there.
that's right.
Because, we had to finance that because we haven't recovered all the money yet.
And that was around 3 million, wasn't it?
I think we had to borrow 2. That was before I came, but I think it was at least 2 million.
And there's one where, perhaps in hindsight, we could have taken all the taxation generated from houses built along Glen Ellen. That portion of that go directly towards reducing that amount, but anyway, that's water under the bridge. Now, anyway. Okay. I think we have
I have my marching orders.
got your marching orders. So everybody come with a new pair of shoes and your notes, prepared to comment on the budget. And I remind councilors that we have a in-camera meeting next door, 22-2E of the Municipal Government Act. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I beat Andrew.
Second. Motion. Meeting stands adjourned.
We should.